Hi, welcome to Intellispot. My name is Ramaru Gift. I'm an entrepreneur and a public speaker. Today I'm sitting with one of the most talented entrepreneur, young chartered accountant, and a public speaker. And her name is Mutondi. Mutondi has started an online personal development course that will radically change the way you see the world that we actually live in today. Mutondi, can you just give us a background on who Mutondi is?
Okay. Mutondi is a girl who grew up in Mashamba village in the Limpopo province. So I did my grade 12 in Limpopo, and then I moved to Bloemfontein University of the Free State, where I pursued a degree in accounting that was leading me to the chartered accountancy profession. I then moved on to one of the big four firms to serve my articles. Now they're called the Big Five, which I did up until the year 2012. And then I moved to one of the big banks in South Africa. It was there where I started questioning my purpose in life, because I felt that all that was driving me for the previous few years I had attained, and then what? So that got me thinking about how I can impact other people's lives, because I believe I've done good for myself. So that is when an opportunity came up, which I could not resist. I heard that one of the universities back at home is going to be applying for accreditation so that they can have a CA accredited degree. Okay, so this really spoke to me because I really wanted to give back. And I felt that was the best place to give back because that's where I grew up. So that might have been the reason why I had to go and study in Bloemfontein. If that university offered the CA degree right where I came from, I think I would have eliminated the travel to a far university. So then that's when I made a very unpopular decision, which was questioned a lot by my family, my colleagues, and friends. But I was certain that I was making the right decision. So I eventually moved in 2015. And I went to start and spearhead the accreditation process. So I was the youngest in the department at the time, and also the only female. So for me, that was really a challenge, and I had to quickly adjust my mind, in order to thrive in that position. As you know that men and women are very different in how they view things and how they solve problems. So I had to find my space as a female and make myself understood to a certain extent. So that went well, so I grew in the process, and that really helped me to become a better person and a better leader today. So one of the things that I observed when I got home, and this maybe can encourage some of our younger our sisters and brothers to go back and plow back. So what I found is the performance of the students at the time. The male students were doing well, when I arrived. But then when I went in, now the female students started showing up, and they started performing better and exceeding the male students. So for me, how I perceived that is, when you have a role model who looks like you, who has done what you are doing, and they're telling you that it's possible. I believe that was the psychological effect of my presence there. So that, I believe, was a huge contribution into that university. So that really got me thinking that, over and above the academic achievement and what we are striving educationally, there's an element of development that is sort of neglected by the schooling system. So we go and do a degree that is, specific. Maybe it's medicine, maybe it's accounting. So you get the skills in accounting, but you are never taught on how to live outside your academic qualifications.
Correct.
So that's when I started taking personal development seriously, trying to get those skills that the schooling system did not teach me, because academic qualifications by themselves are not enough for a person to live a fulfilling life, a joyful and peaceful life. So that's why there are people who still have a lot of degrees, but they are unhappy. They are not fulfilled in life. So there's that gap that got me interested in personal development. So I think, in a nutshell, that is Mutondi.
Wow, Mutondi, that's really amazing. Your profile, it's quite impressive, and I believe that you've inspired a lot of young people down in Limpopo. So just tell me here, this online personal development course that you've started, how does it impact people? And can you just share in detail what the course is all about?
Okay, yes, I'll start by sharing what the course is all about, and then I'll go on to the impact that it will have on people. Okay, so the name of the course is Personal Development Journey with Mutondi, and we've intentionally called it a journey because personal development is a journey. It's a lifetime journey. It requires you to be committed to improve yourself each and every day. So we teach people to be comfortable with who they are, and when you are comfortable with who you are, then there's no need to compete with any other person. So you become an owner of your originality. I have realized that personal development is, it has 5 pillars, and I've been studying this since 2015, before I made the move. So I've summarized personal development in 5 pillars. The first one being spirituality. So a lot of us, you can agree that you are a tripartite person, if we can put it like that. So you have a spirit, you have a soul, and you live in a body. Okay. So your spirituality is very important and is the core of everything that you'll ever do in life. Okay. So in your spirit is where your value system is, your self-awareness is. Okay, so you need to deal with the spiritual aspect first before we go on to the things that impact the soul and then impact the body. Okay, so in our course, we teach you to be self-aware, to go back and ask yourself, who am I and what am I doing here on earth? So what is my purpose on earth? And this really forces you to have a relationship with your creator. We know that all of us here, we were created and we were put on earth for a reason. So you have a unique identity, a unique fingerprint of something that you are supposed to come on earth and contribute. So in fact, I read somewhere that, for you to be born the way that you were born, where you were born, at a time that you were born, and a place or family that you were born in, okay, the odds are 1 to 400 trillion. So you can imagine how special you are. Yeah. There was thought that came, when you were created. So you need to get to a point where you know who you are, and once your identity is certain, when you know who you are able to do things that link or are relevant to who you are.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the first pillar of spirituality, and unfortunately this is an area where people feel uncomfortable, and sometimes we try to block it and we don't want to go there, but that is the necessary step or foundation. If you really want to live your purpose, you need to understand your identity.
Okay. No, that's very impressive. So that's the first pillar, spirituality, knowing who you truly are,
yes.
Finding out your own identity. That's very profound. So let's look at the second pillar. Which one is the second pillar?
Okay. So the second pillar in our course is health. Okay. So health encompasses both mental and physical health, because both of them are very important. Okay, and I'll explain it graphically. Okay, so when a person, when you are feeling down, or if you have a certain kind of emotion, all right, that emotion sort of like affects your body or your physical well-being.
Okay.
Okay, so usually this is a cycle. it happens in a cycle. So there's a thought that starts in your mind, okay? If it's negative, right, it's going to feed your emotion, which is your soul, with negativity.
Okay.
All right? And when you feel negative, your body will do negative things or feel negatively.
Okay.
Okay. So it's similar to if your mind tells you that you're sick, right? You start feeling sick emotionally.
Yeah.
And then now you start feeling pains that resemble your sickness.
Okay.
Yeah. So then it goes on in a cycle. So when you feel bad, then your body now feels bad, and then it feeds your mind again, and then your mind starts developing bad thoughts again, and then it feeds your emotions. You feel bad, and then your body feels bad again, and then now the ripple effect of it comes back worse, on your body. So the impact will be seen with stress,
Okay.
anxiety. Sometimes it will lead to bad habits like, taking drugs and maybe drinking, alcohol abuse, so then it will lead to sickness, but all those things started off as a negative thought.
So this vicious cycle, can it lead also to depression?
Definitely, it can lead to depression. Okay, it might not be the only thing that's leading to depression, but it definitely has a significant influence.
Okay.
Yeah. So the way that we deal with it in this course is that we start at the root of what's affecting your body, which we believe is the mind. So we need to reprogram the mind to start thinking positive things. Yeah, so it is said that the mind cannot distinguish between reality and fantasy.
Okay.
So if you tell it to be happy right now, it'll believe you. Yeah, so you start feeding your mind with positive thoughts, and then you start feeling good, and then your body will follow suit.
Okay.
So we intercept it in the mind, and that's where we break the chain. So you need to always be cognizant of the thoughts that are coming into your mind. And the minute there's a negative thought, you need to quickly replace it with a positive thought, and then you start feeling better again. So yeah, we will definitely share more, in the course. So here we're just dealing with a summary of it. Yeah.
Okay. Wow, that's very profound. So we looked at the spirituality as the first pillar. The second pillar, health. I think it's very broad, and the way you brought it up, I think it has a lot of nitty-gritties that we need to look at. So definitely one need to be part of this course. So let's go to the third pillar. Which one is the third pillar?
Okay. The third pillar is relationships. So we know that as people, we cannot live by ourselves. At any given point in time, you need to interact with people. It might be your siblings, your family, your spouse, your colleagues, friends, so there's a need to deal with relationships. Okay? So our take in this course, is that any good relationship starts with you. Okay? So in order for me to have a good relationship with other people, I need to have a good relationship with myself. Okay? So as I've mentioned that we are a tripartite a person.
Me, myself,
right?
and I.
Me, myself, and I.
Okay.
Spirit, soul, and body.
Yeah.
Okay? So at any given point, you need to be agreeing, or these three parts of you need to be in agreement or in alignment.
Yeah.
The minute one of them is out, then you are not going to experience that wholeness and fulfillment and joy that we are talking about. It's very difficult to be happy when you are sick.
Yeah.
Right? So if one of them is out of balance, then it affects all the other ones. Right? So when you now start developing a relationship with yourself, right, that will help you to have better relationships with other people. So in other words, you need to start by loving yourself if you want to love other people. You need to start by being kind to yourself if you want to be kind to other people, because you cannot give what you do not have.
Yeah.
So you need to fill your cup up, with the good things that you want to give to people. So the people who are aggravated by certain things, the reflection is not on the next person. It's actually the turmoil that's happening inside.
Okay.
So we need to deal with the inside first. And then once we've dealt with the inside, the outside will take care of itself. So you will love naturally. You will be naturally kind to people. You will be naturally, peaceful. So we deal with the relationship that you need to have with yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really amazing. So that's the third pillar, relationships. I believe that one needs to have good relationship in order to be great in this world. Without good relationship or without having better skills to relate with other people or interrelate with other people, it can be very challenging.
Definitely.
So let's have a look at the fourth pillar. Which one is the fourth pillar?
Okay. The fourth pillar is educational development, or you can call it career development. All right. So our point of departure in the course is that there's formal and informal learning. Okay. So the formal learning is the one that's dictated by the schooling system. Okay. So you as a person, you'll go from grade 1 up to grade 12, and then for those who continue to study, will go and do a degree or diploma or certificate, and then you'll go and find a job. Okay, and then that's your career. All right. So, and then there's the informal side, which has been neglected. Okay. Yes, there is some learning that happens, but it's involuntary. It's sort of like, what can you call it? It's a result of you interacting with certain people, going to certain places. You pick up certain habits, but it's not intentional. It's not as intentional as the formal learning process. So with the formal learning process, if I can just give you a bit of depth there. As an infant, when you're a baby, you are born in a certain family. You will have a parent or a guardian who will teach you certain things, your manners, chores, how to clean up, and such things. So that's like a forced learning, that every child would go through. And then you move to go to school, and then at school there are teachers who are trained, to give you educational content. Okay, so they teach you, they do their job, and then maybe at the age of 18 you pass your matric. Okay, and at that point you are declared an adult, and the learning abruptly stops. Okay, so as I've mentioned, there are people who will go and further their studies, do the degree. Okay, for those, the learning will continue, the formal learning will continue, maybe up until the age of 25, and then they start working. Okay, and then for the rest of their lives, they will rely on the knowledge that they got up to that point. Okay, this is just generalizing. I know there'll be outliers. Okay, and then so there's this other aspect that is neglected. Okay, so when you have your academic achievements, there's still the thing called life that is outside the job that you do, the degree that you have. Okay, which you still need to take care of, right? Which is where personal development comes in, and it's an informal learning, and it's a lifelong process. You can never stop, developing yourself, basically. So this is where now you need to learn, to how to get peace in life, how to get joy, how to live a purpose, outside or within your career. So the informal part, this is what we focus on, the personal development part, where you need to intentionally start learning for yourself, for your own livelihood, so that you have a great experience in this world. Okay, so my take is, usually a lot of people who are stressed, or have anxiety or depressed, I believe they've neglected this part. That is personal development, starting with the spirituality. So if you have not identified your value system as a person, right, you won't know what you stand for. So that is a very important part of personal development. So this is what the course will teach you, right? So it's a tragedy because people, as I've mentioned, will stop learning at the age of 25, that forced learning, right? And then they live up to, in the South African context, the life expectancy of a female is 68 years, and then the one for a male is 61 years. So if you stopped learning at the age of 25, then it means you are living 35 to 40 years of the rest of your life on the knowledge acquired before the age of 25.
Okay.
That is a tragedy.
Which is exactly what's happening in our society. I mean, people go to varsity, and then after varsity, you really don't engage yourself in any form of learning.
Yes.
So I believe that personal development then engage people in that sense, that
yes.
in essence, you'll be able to develop yourself continuously going forward.
Yes, definitely. Because it's impossible for you to sustain a 50-year-old person with a 25-year-old brain. So that is where we come in, and the emphasis on, educating yourself. Yes, the formal education is fine. You can go for your master's, your PhD, and so on. But there's this other part of learning that has been neglected completely by the schooling system. So that is where we come in with personal development. So we emphasize the importance of lifelong learning, and it requires a lot of commitment. And maybe because it requires a lot of commitment and a lot of work, maybe that's why a lot of people are not doing it. But if you are not doing it, then you are not living a fulfilled life. You are not living a completely purposeful life. So that's the fourth pillar in a nutshell.
Okay. Wow, very impressive, Mutondi. The fourth pillar, I think it's one that I think I need to dig deep into it and see exactly what's in there. I think it's very profound, and the way you've outlined it, I think there's just a lot in it that one needs to look at. So let's have a look at the fifth pillar. Which one is the fifth pillar?
The fifth pillar is finances. So a lot of stress, and anxiety is caused by, the lack of financial skills. So as a person, maybe with a career, or any person, you find yourself, having money at a given point in time. But it's important to know the kind of relationship you have with money, how to handle money, how to treat money. So one of the things that we advocate for and highlight, is you cannot be treating money as the only subject in life, which I see a lot of people doing. Now money has become more important than people. Money has become more important than values. So that kind of relationship you need to establish, with money, because money needs to be working for you. It's a thing. You cannot value it more than you can value a person. So those are the principles that we teach in finance. And then another thing that we teach in this pillar is, you need to secure yourself financially, right? No matter what happens in future. So if you can see now with the COVID-19, there's a lot of turbulence economically, in South Africa and also globally. Things are really bad. So this really emphasizes the point of you having a financial plan, because you do not want to live at 60, and you end up worse off than you are today.
Very true.
So it's important in this time to think ahead, to have a long-term plan on your finances. Okay, so a lot of adverse things will happen, especially after this pandemic, right? The luxury of a permanent job, it will not be easy to get for most people. If you can get a job where you can stay there for 10 years, you'll be very lucky, right? So that means that there will be an oversupply of people and, less jobs out there, which means that people will now start accepting less salaries, which means that your pension by the time when you retire will be much less, right? So then how do we start planning for that today? So one of the principles that we teach is setting up multiple streams of income.
Okay.
All right. And to do that, you need to acquire skills. You need not to rely only on one career that you have. You know, it has been shown now that as an accountant, you might need IT skills, you might need programming skills. So you need 2 or 3 skills in order for you to thrive. You know, in this environment. So we talk about, you know, some of the principles that are taught in The Richest Man in Babylon. It's a book that you can get. You know, the simple things like save or invest 10% of your total income.
Okay.
You know, because that 10% will be significant, you know, when you're 60, when you're 50. All right. So, and other things is make your money multiply. You know, set up, you know, vehicles in which your money will be able to multiply.
Yeah.
All right. By this, I'm not saying everyone should be a business person, but maybe you need, if you are that person who's interested in business, maybe there's no harm in trying that. You know, because you cannot just rely on your career. People are getting retrenched, and the older you get, then it becomes more difficult for you to be appointed in future. So we teach about that financial planning. You need to be able to take care of your finances, because finances are a big part to you living a peaceful life and a fulfilling life. You know, there are certain things that you cannot do without money or access to it. Yeah, so yeah, I know this course sounds a bit serious, but life to a certain extent is very serious, and we need to treat it with that level of seriousness. So what I can encourage people to do is to read books, you know, but not just books, but read good books. Be intentional about, you know, the skills that you want to develop, and choose a specific book that can address that skill. So in personal development as a whole, we really encourage reading. We really encourage learning. So if you are not a person who is willing to learn, then personal development is not for you. Because we are saying we plant seeds today that we are going to eat of the fruits later. You know, and sometimes it's painful when you have planted a seed and you need to keep watering it, but it hasn't come up yet and you cannot see where it's going. But what a joyful experience when it finally comes out. Even better when it now yields fruits, you know. So you harvest with joy. So that's our take, you know, in those 5 pillars in a nutshell.
Okay. Wow, Mutondi. I think this was really an informative session. It's really amazing that you brought up this program, and it's a good program, I must say. So let's just have a look at who this course is for. Who is it designed for? Can you just share in detail who can actually enroll in this course?
Okay. So first and foremost, the good news is the course is absolutely free.
Okay.
You pay nothing and there is no catch. All right. And the course is for everyone. When I say everyone, I mean everyone. Okay, it doesn't matter your racial background, your religious background, your age, you know, young and old are both welcome. Female, male are equally welcome. So it's a really robust course that gets you thinking. And we always believe in that action is the antidote of success. So you need to be in action. You must be ready to change certain things that you don't like in your life in order to attain the things that you want in life. So we have set this course intentionally so that it will make you grow. There's a lot of growth in this course, and it's a 30-day course, which was intentionally set up like that because, as I've said, personal development is a lifetime journey. All right. So a habit takes 21 days to form. So we've just added an extra, you know, a few days, so that by the time you finish the course, you are used to doing the personal development daily, right? And the other good news is that this course is very flexible. You don't need to be in a certain class at a certain time. You can choose the time when you want to do your work for that day, right? So everything is online. There is no physical contact at all. Okay, yeah, but the support of in this course is really amazing. You know, you can reach out to us if you have questions and such things. And we have a private Facebook group. Yeah, I think this is very important because we know that with personal development, some of these things, the things that have been hidden inside, might need to be uprooted, and sometimes it's a very emotional process. So we have made this a private group platform, so that you are able to feel safe in the environment, and only like-minded people will be able to see what you are going through. So we really care about your well-being and your privacy as well. We know that you need to grow, and sometimes growth is painful, and you might need to let go of certain things. You might need to release certain things. So that's why we are doing it in a private group.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Wow, Mutondi. This was really an informative session. I actually learned a lot from it, and I believe that also our viewers actually got something from it. Let's make a recap here. You mentioned 5 pillars, and the first pillar was actually spirituality, where you actually discover yourself, know your own identity, who you truly are. And the second pillar was actually health. I think I found it to be very profound as well. And the third pillar was actually relationship. In this world, if you cannot really build good relationship, you'll always find life very challenging. And the fourth one was actually career. I found it to be very profound as well. You need to know exactly where you planted as an individual and what are you bringing to the marketplace as an individual. And the fifth one was actually finances. Finances is very important. If you don't know how to handle your finances, you'll always struggle in this life. So I think this is a very nice course. It will inspire a lot of people. Whether you're young or old, you definitely fit to be part of this journey. So if you're interested to be part of this journey, please click on the link below and make sure that you enroll with us. Let me just say this again. This course is absolutely free, so you pay nothing for it. And we are really looking forward to starting this journey with you.